Grand rising beautiful people, and welcome to Rising Mind. Today is going to be a special podcast for all my listeners that are joining in. I have with me the honor to call a friend, a business partner, and even a brother, David Capablanca. David Capablanca is one of the human beings that I truly can say that inspires me. I've had the fortune to meet a lot of people through the work I do with over the years, and I get to know people and I get to know different stories. But some stories always tend to stand out a little bit more based on their journey. And David, to me, is the best example of what I call a hero's journey. A man that is been through so much in his life that I can only say has brought him to where he is today. Obviously, we have to go through these experiences, but it's just a story worth telling, a story worth sharing. And I really honor David because he is comfortable to share his story. Many people tend to hold back from their past because of the ego, or they just want to show the good side to certain things, but or where they are in their success, but don't want to look back into the past. And luckily, David is one of the unique people that is willing to share his story, share his past with a deep understanding and knowing that simply his past and the man he is today is someone that is completely different. A man that is evolved, that is extremely successful both in business and in life. So it's an honor. Welcome, David Capablanca, to Rising Minds.
Thank you, Sam. Thanks for having me. And I love Rising Minds. Whoever hasn't checked it out, Sam has a podcast now, Rising Minds. It's on all the audio outlets. It's an audio only.
Yeah, it's audio only at the moment.
And
yeah.
It is. I listen to it. You have like 5 or 6 episodes. I listen to each like 2 or 3 times. These are great.
Thank you.
God, it's such good food for the mind, you know.
Thank you, brother.
And,
thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me, the first guest.
Yes, you are my first guest, and I can only imagine. And I can't imagine anyone else being as my first guest. And thanks to you, I want everyone to know that the reason you guys are enjoying the podcast and my current listeners and all the beautiful feedback that I've received in such a short period as well has been thanks to this man, a man who said, just start, because I'm like, I want to make it sure it's perfect and I want to get everything. He's like, just start. Sam, you've got the knowledge, you've got the wisdom. Just be yourself and just speak through the mic, and it's been amazing. I mean, David has the Friendly Bear podcast. David, I want to let everyone know how many episodes you've got on there.
So like 700 videos and like 400 something podcasts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is an incredible number. I mean, that just simply shows the dedication you had to just the podcast and enjoying it. I'm sure you always enjoy it.
I love it. I love it.
And I remember, funny enough, how the first time I got to meet David was David reached out. This was over 3 years ago. He knew me through a mutual person in the industry of trading, and he heard about me, and he's like, "Hey man, I want to, would you like to come on the podcast?" And I was like, "Of course, I would love to have a conversation with you." And I remember that was when you were in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And you were in that sauna room that you were telling me about.
The air conditioning actually it broke. And it's common in Puerto Rico. And actually, the last time it broke many times. So the last time they fixed it, I remember the guy actually hung out of the window, crawled outside. This is like the 7th floor of the building. Like this is then he got like a wooden 2x4 plank and would balance himself off to fix the air conditioning outside. He risked his life.
Wow.
So anyway, it was the weekend, and that guy that would do that, he was gone for the weekend.
Gosh.
So
okay.
there was no air conditioning. That conference room was a sauna. And as I'm talking to Sam and we're doing a podcast, he doesn't know what I am.
You did well though. You hit it very, very well. You didn't show any discomfort on the video.
But the Zoom video,
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
it doesn't get like the sweat molecules,
You're-
but like I
you're-
was
you're
pretty,
sweating.
not like profusely,
yeah,
but it
but-
was like, you know, there was some condensation all over.
Oh wow, wow. Anyway,
Yeah.
it was. I would just say it was a great starting to our relationship, and obviously getting to know you now over the years. I've had the pleasure to also work with David privately, and when I work privately with my clients, those who've worked with me who are listening, you know, we go deep and we break through the barriers of who we are. Like we just be our true selves, and it always establishes and naturally builds a very good relationship because it's a core. You know, you're taking away all the masks, and you're having that open and honest conversation with each other. So that was almost like also, I believe, added to our journey and getting to know you, and obviously getting to know your story, which is the topic of today, the topic of a hero's journey. And the reason I picked this topic with you, David, is because, to be honest, this is you. This is who you are, and I think it's important for the rest of the world who are interested to hear an inspiring story that will remind them as well of how powerful they are and how unlimited they are, and there's nothing, that any challenges that can come into their life that they can't overcome. So let me start by asking you, you know, how far do you want to go back? Because I mean, your story is extremely powerful, from, you know, studying 9 years as to being an architecture, right? A master architecture. Is that correct? 9 years it took you.
Yeah. So 4 years, four years undergraduate,
Yeah.
and then like 5 years graduate school. Yeah,
Wow.
like 9 years. Yeah, you got it.
9 years, correct? Yeah. So that, I mean, that's a lifetime. And when you graduated, or when you finished, maybe we can start from there in terms of, you know, just top of the line, what made you decide from there to, you know, not carry on in that career and like move towards becoming a master trader? Because someone studied 9 years to be an architect, usually they would have the mindset of like, I've just invested that time in my life, and I'm going to be dedicated to this career. You know, I had the same thing. I you know, was dedicated to a career for 16 or 17 years, and I think that's something in common we have. I made that decision and that conscious choice to do something different. You know, and I think that's where it started with you. So if you don't mind, from there, if you can pick up the story, what happened? What made you make that decision, and if you can just let us know your journey coming into, you know, the other obstacle that came in the way.
Okay, so first of all, I didn't really know anything better than architecture. You know, all I knew was doctor, lawyer, architect. This is like you're a success. Everyone's gonna be proud of you, and like this career is gonna solve itself. It's a no-brainer that architects make these beautiful buildings, and there's such sophisticated, smart people, and the society pays them accordingly. And like they're gonna be all right. So the loans, the student loans, is normal to take. It's just an investment in the career, into your career for the rest of your life. And architecture was something I really enjoyed, as far as like the creativity, imagination, drawing. It was competitive, and I was doing well. So like I got rewarded by the attention I would get for doing the project nicely and the beautiful designs, and we got to travel.
I believe you were good at it as well.
I was good at it. Yeah, I was very good.
Yeah.
Now I didn't know, I was financially illiterate, so I just knew I thought the career would solve itself. And when I finished my architecture graduate school, at the master's, at the graduation, and this and that, and I got into the classes that I wanted to get into, and like I thought everything was good. And then when I graduate, they give you a 6-month period where you don't pay loans, and then the bill comes due. And the bill was there, except I was not conscious about it because I was just focused on graduating, doing the best. Those projects were so overwhelming.
Yeah.
It was not like fun times. It was like grinding, but like you're creating something. The product is beautiful, but like so much grind. And my first year of grad school, I had a brain tumor, and I had a lot of symptoms for that, and I had to check in the hospital. I discovered a golf ball, and anyway, I had to. My schooling took 2 more years longer because I had to go through that.
Yes.
And that I was getting student loans while that was happening. While
Yeah.
I was recovering, I was still collecting loans because the loans were tied. I couldn't get medical insurance unless I had students, unless I was enrolled in classes.
Yes, and you were getting loans
Yes,
based on
but
because you're enrolled.
It was a catch-22
Okay, it's catch-22.
situation.
I got you.
So when I graduated, and I was such in a whole financial, it was so overwhelming that I was like, man, I just want to focus on the project and the assignment.
Yeah.
I don't want to worry, mental capital.
Yeah.
I didn't want to worry about all this mess of figuring out the interest and the loans and the out of
Yeah.
state and the in-state tuition in America's different rates.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, I was like, how am I supposed to do well in school if I also got to worry about this? So I decided I'm just gonna, just like when we download an app,
Yeah.
we don't read all the disclaimer, we just
Yeah.
sign the bottom, accept, boom.
Yeah.
Or you go to a website, cookies, just accept, boom.
Yes.
That's the way I did my student loans.
Got you.
I just want to focus on the school. I got into Frank Gehry's class. I got into Tom Main's class. These are really famous architects.
Yeah.
I just want to worry about that. I don't want to worry. This student loans, like I just survived. You know, like.
Yeah, but do you mind? I really want the listeners to and the guys watching, because that's a big part of your journey is when you went through the brain tumor experience, and after that the recovery time. I mean, I would love you to share, you know, the mindset that you had, and I think people need to hear that, of what you know. The experience is not a great one, but after that, how your recovery time and how you pushed yourself through that experience, especially with the TV show that you were watching. I remember you were sharing me you were stuck watching.
Jersey Shore.
Jersey Shore.
Yeah, it's crazy. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that happened.
Yeah.
I was never the same afterwards, and like. I don't really talk to my colleagues from that time, those classmates. Some of them went off to do some other things, and, you know, doing all right. But I knew behind the scenes, because I was recovering, and like they were like trying to be polite, and like they knew what I was going through. They wanted to make my life easier, not harder.
Yeah.
But behind the scenes, the word gets back, and it's like they're gossiping, like, yo, he's not the same anymore. This is not this. Because I would do all-nighters every day, and like I'll do cat naps, just like I did with trading early on. And I'll have the project, and I'll be there 3 a.m. with the models, and like reading.
Was this before? We're talking before.
Yes, before the tumor.
Yeah, before. Yeah.
And then after the tumor is like I turned into the minimalist designer, doing the least just to finish the project.
Yeah.
And like. And it's like not because I was just recovering and all that, but also because like I lost interest in the culture of like breathing all the fumes, doing all-nighters. It's like my brain is recovering. How am I gonna do a 12-hour all-nighter with making models?
Yeah.
Or like, for example, we had 3D printers inhaling all the fumes of the dust of the printer, the laser cutters.
Yeah.
It would disgust me.
Yeah.
So even though I loved architecture, it's like I was like, I'm not willing to die for it like that, you know, and sacrifice my brain recovery.
Yeah, and I think you just basically reprioritized your values in what was valuable for you. I think sometimes in life, this is just to for the listeners to understand, we are based on our conditioning and based on what our parents have told us or what things that happen, we start to have different values towards ourselves and what's important. And at the time, that was a high value. It's just to graduate and to be in architecture and get the approval of whatever society, the world, versus a shock to the system, and then you reevaluate what's actually important in your life. And at the time for you, it was your health and your well-being of recovery.
Yeah. So one moment I think about all the time, even to this day, it's almost like it's always there. I'm constantly reminded. I'm going to talk about it right now. It's just always that extreme sense of urgency, because when I was one of my biggest memories from the time I woke up from my anesthesia, the surgery was 20 hours, brain operation.
20 hours.
20 hours, and I was in a coma or whatever, not in a coma.
And you were told within 48 hours you need to operate, correct?
Yeah, so that's before the surgery.
Yeah.
I checked in the hospital. I got an eye test, and the eye test, like, it revealed there's a lot of pressure in my brain, and then they checked me for an MRI, and they discovered a golf ball sized tumor, and the doctor came in, and he told me, a few doctors, and I felt normal. and he said, yeah, you have 2 weeks to live if you don't have emergency brain surgery within 48 hours. We need to have this surgery, emergency brain surgery. And they called the team. This was at UCLA, the top hospital. It was crazy, the top hospital for that, for tumors.
Yeah.
In the U.S.
Yeah.
At the time, I think it still is. And that was a Friday. Monday I had the surgery, and then 20-hour surgery. And then I woke up like 2 or 3 days later after the surgery.
Okay.
I had to sign papers before. It's common
Yeah.
that I might 10% chance I could die in the
Yeah.
surgery or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that was
yeah.
I never been through
So that
was the
must
first time.
that must have been quite an experience for you going
Yeah,
through all of that.
Yeah. So when I woke up from the surgery, though, they didn't know when I was gonna wake up. It was like just a random time they guessed me. But when I woke up, I had tubes. And my mom was there. She flew in from Miami. My mom and the doctor, the surgeon, Isaac Yang. He's a friend of mine now.
Yeah.
And my mom was saying, "What did you do to my son? He's a vegetable. What is this? Oh my God!" And they didn't know I'm listening because I'm intubated, and I just had like woke up and like I'm still under morphine, trazodone, Seroquel. I don't know how many drugs I was on. And the doctor said, "Lourdes." My mom's name is Lourdes. She's probably the one that watched this podcast. But or listen to it. He said, "Lourdes, I gave your son 50 more years of life. He's gonna be all right. 50 more years. It's up to him now, how he wants to do this, But you have to be patient." This was like December 19th or something like that.
That's beautiful, but it's beautiful. I think that piece of information to hear in that time and frame and a state is very powerful.
It is. So check this out. So in my state that I was in, I was 25 years old at the time. In my state of like all those drugs and all that and foggy, and like all I could do is like look. I couldn't talk. I'm listening, and they don't even know I'm listening.
Yeah.
I calculated in my head 50 years. I'm 25, so that means 50 years is 2 more times of 25. So I have 2 more times of what I just lived, and that always stuck with me. And I was staring at the wall, and I was like thinking about this the whole time. And so then after that, I start to recover. I have to learn how to walk. I would walk on my side, like, I had to learn how to balance. My mom put my grandma on the phone, and my grandma only speaks Spanish. And I forgot Spanish. And I was like, and I'm listening, and she's talking to me in Spanish, like, the brain actually is very malleable, so like it's very strong. So you use muscle memory.
Correct.
So it came back slowly, but yeah, and then like I had to learn how to type. I go to my computer and like I can't type. Oh my God, and then I can't type. I can't walk. I can't speak Spanish, and like even I started stuttering a lot because the brain was recovering, and I asked my mom, "Mom, am I gonna run again? Am I ever gonna run?" Because I couldn't. I was like uncoordinated, and then and then just kept at it every day. And I was like, yeah, it was rough, man. And then like the first year, after 3-4 months, they sent me home, and I would just go on the computer on Facebook and type to my friends. It actually helped me. I don't even go on Facebook anymore. But back, this is 2010. Yeah, and I would chat with people on Facebook, and I would get my typing skills back.
Oh, okay.
And then I would play Galaga. You know the game Galaga,
Not
the
really.
Nintendo game from like the 80s.
Oh yeah.
I would play
okay.
Galaga to get the coordination.
Okay,
and
okay.
I'll start like super small. Then I'll read. There was a novel someone gave me, Shantaram. You ever heard of this one?
Not really.
It's a beautiful book.
Yeah.
They were gonna make a movie on it with Johnny Depp. I read the whole book. It's not even my kind of book, but I wouldn't read it now. This is like a fiction. No, it's actually a real book, real story. But it's not my kind of book. I like trading books.
Yeah.
But I read this whole book, and then I would go working out. I'll go to the gym, and I couldn't do anything. I'll sit on the bike for 40 minutes. I gained a lot of weight, so I was like, because all I could do. Actually, the doctor told me in the hospital, he's like, David, I'm gonna need your help for your recovery. You have to eat a lot. Always eat. And that hospital, UCLA, was a celebrity hospital. It's in LA, a lot of celebrities.
Yeah.
And they had like chefs on demand, and I would order all this food. So I gained a lot of weight.
But I'm curious to understand why you would need to pick up weight though. Like
No, because they said you gotta drink a lot of water, and so I didn't want water at the time. I was like, I was like, I want Gatorade. I thought Gatorade was good for you.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So I had unlimited Gatorade. I'm laying on a bed for 20 hours a day. Yeah.
Man.
So I'm here thinking I gotta get hydrated. So I'm slamming. And my mom even, I had her do a pyramid of they have Gatorade cans.
Yeah.
They made a pyramid of the cans. The Gatorade. I want to make sure I get like as many 20 Gatorades a day or something. And then I would eat like they had enchiladas at there, and I would eat enchiladas. And like,
so you're basically stuffing yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean.
I know, but I
wasn't moving.
Yeah, but you weren't moving. There's no activity. Yeah. So you're just picking up. So
yeah. So I had to learn how to run again, and I would walk around the track at UCLA, and then I had a goal. A few months in 1 month, I'm gonna do a jog for 10 seconds. I remember my first jog for 10 seconds I was so happy. I was so happy, and then I told my classmates, and at the university, they came to watch me run. I remember when I did finally one lap around the track, they came and watched me. Yeah, it was. Yeah, so then eventually you build up, and I got into health and fitness.
So that took you how long to walk again? 4 months?
Yeah,
to
like
run,
4 or 5. To run, like 6 months. Man.
6 months to run.
I was at it every day.
But you had that determination in your mind that you're not giving up. You would keep at it until you got better and better and better. And I have a question, because obviously this is important. When you were doing that, what was the mindset? What was the thought process in your mind? What were you thinking? What were you saying to yourself? Were you like, this is interesting. I'd love to know, how was the communication within yourself? You
know what? Now that you bring it up, this question, it's actually very similar to how I started trading, because I had to find a solution for the mess I was in from the student loans and all this. So it was like, I can't live like this. So like when I was recovering, I was like, I can't live like this. I gotta be able to run. I want to exercise. I want to be healthy. And the doctor would tell me, David, you gotta slow it down. You can't lift weights. You can't work out like that. You know, it's like you need bed rest. You need this, that. And I was like, I can't live like that. After a certain point, I was like, I'm gonna run. He said, you can't run. It's like, I'm gonna run. I gotta run. Yeah. I'm not gonna live like this. Yeah. I remember when I would go to the gym, and my mother would say, he's going to the gym. Oh my God! And I was like, I can't be babied by my mom. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So like, I had to break the rules, because I couldn't live like that. Yeah. So then I told the doctor, I'm getting into. There was a push-up competition at the gym. Yeah. And I joined it, and I ended up winning the competition. I did like 60 push-ups. And in a row, and ever since then I've been into calisthenics. But the doctor said, you shouldn't be doing push-ups, and I said, I'm gonna do them anyway. And he said, all right. Then we came to an agreement. He said, all right, if you have pain, you gotta stop. How about that? And he's like, all right, that works. Okay. And it's the same thing when I went to learn how to do trading after I decided to switch careers. Like, I cannot live in debt my whole life until I'm retired. I'm not gonna be 60 years old and broke financially and a mess. Because I knew when I was in a financial mess, 6 months after I got my master's, 6 months after you walk in the graduation, everyone's claps are happy, you're a repulse. I felt like nobody wanted to be around me, because I was such a mess that I was obviously not happy. I was, I was not, it was just not the person I wanted to be. So like, I can't live like this. It was the same exact kind of situation as like when I was recovering, and the doctor told me, you can't run, you can't do this, you gotta stop. It's like, I can't live like that. It's just, I'm not gonna live like that. So it's a decision that you are making between you and yourself. Is that correct? It's a firm decision and a firm belief that there's no other way but the way that is change. You were moving towards change. You did not surrender. You did not give up on yourself. Yeah. And I think this is an important point just for the listeners, is that in life sometimes we might be put through situations which almost wants us to give up. It almost wants us to go, well, I just can't do it anymore. Or they agree to stay in this relationship that they're unhappy, or they agree to stay with the boss that is abusive,
or they agree to do something that's not serving them, that they know if they stay this way, it's not the way they're supposed to live life. And the reminder with your story, and there's a reminder to everyone else, is that you all have a choice. All your listeners, all your viewers, you always have a choice to make a firm decision between you and yourself that you are not going to accept the current circumstance that you're in, and you're going to make change. And that's exactly what you did. And you did it twice, David. Now that I think about it, you did it twice in your life. And that's quite powerful. Like, you did it when you decided that you don't want to be an architect, and you went against all the odds. And believe me, I know how that feels, because I had that experience. I think I shared the story the other day with you, where I went against all the odds. Maybe another episode you can, I'll share the story. But you went against all the expectation. You got what I'm saying? The expectation of society, the expectation of the world, and you went against it. And then you had another circumstance where everyone around you was telling you to do the opposite thing. Even doctors were saying, take it easy, do this, don't do this, don't do this. But the power inside of you, the will that you had not to agree to that circumstance, gave you the firm decision. And this is what's important, is when we decide, and when we truly decide we want something in our life and we want change, nothing can stop you. Nothing is in the way. The only person usually in people's life is in the way from change is themselves. And you are the example that the moment you were on your side for change, nothing stopped you.
Yeah.
I mean, that is again, I think it's inspiring. And it's inspiring for everyone that's listening or watching, that resides within you. Everyone out of that you're hearing, you have that part of you is in you, but it's just the firm decision that you need to make. And David today is a reminder that it's possible. The 4-minute mile, you're a reminder to everyone that it's possible to, no matter what you're going through in your life, no matter how much of a challenge it is, you have the power and the will and the decision, the firm decision that you can change your life. And you've done it twice, David. You've changed your life twice. You made the firm decision not to agree to the circumstance that you were in, and to make something, and both of them weren't easy at all. And I'd love you to share the other part, if you don't mind.
Well, first, the second time I did it was based off of the sense of urgency I had. By the way, the doctor said 50 years. I can stretch. I always understood it depends on me. He gave
stretching
a
at 100,
ballpark.
brother.
Yeah. So like that's why I got into. That's why I love all the stuff that we do, because it encourages like me to take better health and take care of myself better. So I know that 50 years is going to be extended way more.
100%. The way you treat yourself, you will get rewarded by that 100%.
Absolutely, but that 50 years, it gave me a sense of urgency. Like, okay, like I had a heightened sense of like, we're not gonna live forever.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people lose sight of that. They lose. Next thing you know, 10 years, 15 years passes, and they weren't aware of like I have a vision 5-10 years. I can see it very clearly.
Yes.
Because of that urgency.
Yes.
And even though I was not, we talk about consciousness and awareness and all this, I wasn't really conscious back then, but I was conscious about time because of the near-death experience.
Yeah, that was a near-death experience, and that made you realize that time is one of the most valuable things in life. And I see that when I'm spending time with you here. Every single thing you're doing in your day, everything we're doing with our time is always of value. It's always of making sure we're getting the best out of that, and that's what makes you efficient. I see that in you. It makes you more of an efficient human being. But again, I'd love you to go back to the second experience and share that with our listeners, because I think that is also quite inspiring. Of course, you can share whatever you want to share, but I'd love them to know about the amount of hours you've put in, and how you disconnected your entire circle of life, your social life, you did everything to get to a space where you were focused on an outcome, which is becoming a successful, profitable trader. So I'd love for the audience to walk them through that experience of what you had to do to get to where you are today. As I speak, you are a millionaire trader, over a seven-figure trader. So again, and its time span that you have achieved that shows the urgency in there, if you know what I mean. The urgency, that sense of, you know, I got to keep going at it. You know, time is money, like they say. Time is money. Time is literally money, right? So can you just walk us through the office experience, if that's okay?
Absolutely. So I understood that keeping up with society wasn't gonna work, because you know, the people like my peers or people that you meet through social circles or whatever, they have a BMW and they have the certain clothes and like a certain watch, and you just got to keep up with that. And for me to keep up with that, I would have to get in more debt. And I wanted to get away from the debt. I wanted to clean up the mess that I ignored for so long when I thought I was doing the right thing. So I was like, you know, and it goes back to, I can't live like this anymore. Being behind in all my payments and stuff, credit card debt, this, that, you know, car payments. So, you know, I got rid of my car, for example. That was a big load off my shoulder, and I moved downtown, and I rented out an office, and I lived in the office pretty much. And I knew, okay, so I'm minimizing my expenses. My goal is to be flat. If I want to succeed at trading, I have to reduce everything to net zero and start flat. I don't want to start from a hole, you know? So like, I was digging myself out of a hole just to start flat. And how I was doing that? By minimizing expenses. I didn't go out. And the thing is, I sold my car. I got rid of my car because the car required insurance payment, registration payment, parking payment,
before you sold your car. Just to add to this point, and if you allow me, you worked how many hours as an Uber driver?
Oh man, I have like around 3,500 trips. That's probably like a solid 12-hour days for 6 months.
That's pretty impressive. And you did that. That was part of the mission.
And Lyft. No, and Lyft I did like 1,000. So like, yeah.
Lyft is another for our listeners. Lyft is another
another
driving like Uber.
And I did DoorDash, Postmates, dog sitting. And then I switched after 6 months. I switched to tutoring. Tutoring was way better. But
and this was to save up. This was after you decided to change your career. That was in that period.
Yeah, and actually, as a tutor, I was making good money. I was like $50 to $100 an hour in Beverly Hills, working a few hours a day.
That's not bad.
And I was getting really good reviews. And the boss of the company said, "Hey, Dave, do you want to switch careers? You're getting really good reviews. We can give you a salary." And at that time, I was living out of an office, and I was like, I turned it down, but I thought about it. I was like, man, I could like get myself living in a nice apartment and just chill.
Yeah.
But I was like, my goal is to be a trader. So like, this is what I need now. I need to work just 2 hours a day and study stocks the rest. So I turned him down. And like, he didn't know the situation I was in. I was completely,
that in my opinion, that is a test. Like that moment, the universe is testing you. It's going, how badly do you want this? Because think about it, that was an easy exit because you were making money. You would have got yourself an apartment instead of sleeping in an office. And you still stuck true.
He also offered me ownership in the company.
Do you see what I mean? Yeah. So that is what I'm trying to say. That's you know, it's quite a seducing, right? So, but you still stuck to your gun, and you were like, I'm going to continue focusing on what I really want, which is, you know, financial freedom, and to get out of this and move and make that change. So another thing I want to share with the listeners and who's watching this as well, is, which I find inspiring, is the amount of work you put in while you were studying. So I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. There was a part again, I know this from the conversations we've had. That's why I'm bringing it to the table. Literally, here's the table, where you had to get Wi-Fi from one of the from Target.
This is crazy. So back then, I thought everybody had had no data on their phone. It was just me. I couldn't afford it. I thought, data, who pays $100, $150 a month for a cell phone bill? I'd rather pay $30 and not have the data plan or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was one of those guys. So like, it was all backwards thinking. And then on top of that, I'm doing Uber and stuff, and I would like data, I would be a mess. And I wanted to study all the videos for trading that I bought, and I need Wi-Fi, and like I was on the go, and I would go to Target, and I would use Target Wi-Fi, and I would actually take all these printout books. This is from the Tim Sykes stuff, and I would read them, all these newbie materials. I don't have them anymore, and I would just sit there and study with my iPad. I had an iPad at that time, and I would study, and people would watch me. What am I doing there? For so long, and then when I did like an hour or two, or more, I would go back to Uber and then drive and then come back. It wasn't just Target. That one specific Target was
good Wi-Fi.
Yeah, but I also did Starbucks. I went to Denny's, coffee.
And on an average, how many hours were you studying a day on average?
Every waking moment. Because like, think about it. I decided to cancel social life. That's a big one, because if you have a social life, you're gonna and you're in a bad situation financially. Mm-hmm. You're gonna enter social spaces, and people are gonna wonder, why aren't you keeping up with your car sucks, your clothes suck.
Yeah. People are just gonna judge you. They're just gonna talk or whatever. They're gonna project. Yeah, it's a distraction.
And and I didn't feel like it, just dealing with that.
Yeah. So it's an unnecessary pressure anyway.
It's a pressure. And so I just decided to take it out. So with getting starting out a trading, you got to take out a lot of stuff that's in the way. Mm-hmm. So the car was in the way.
You sold it.
Social life is in the way. I was like, okay, how do I make myself efficient? I need a place to study, like I was in architecture school. I was in the studio in architecture school. I was like, I need to get us shared office spaces. These WeWorks and stuff became popular. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm gonna get a desk, and I paid $250 a month for the desk. And then I was spending 20 hours a day in there studying, and I would drive. Eventually, I was tutoring 2 times a day. No. 5-10 hours a week of tutoring, and the rest was just studying. And tutoring is very lax. You don't waste. Uber is a lot of blue collar.
Of course.
Tutoring
it takes a lot of energy.
Yeah, tutoring is just you're enjoying it. It's fun.
Yeah.
And you're just talking like this kind of.
Yeah.
And I was spending so much time in the office, and I was like, why am I paying for an apartment? This is ridiculous. This is an extra expense. So eventually, I was like, the lease was up. I got rid of the apartment, and then I was like, okay, so there's a place in Koreatown. You pay for like $50 a day, mm-hmm. And but I don't want to spend $50 a day because I'm spending all my time studying.
Yes.
So I would go there sparingly, mm-hmm. But most of the time they had this little closet. It was like for women to nurse babies and stuff, and nobody in the WeWorks. It was just a empty room. Nobody used it. There was no nursing people there.
Yeah.
So I would just go there and take naps, and you're not allowed to sleep there. So I would take naps for an hour, and that would be my sleep. The rest of the time I'd be at my desk, and if I was tired, I kind of took like one of these half-an-hour ones, and that's it.
Wow.
And I did that for about a year and a half.
Wow.
Or so.
A year and a half.
Yeah, in that Koreatown place. I tell people to make it sound like I wasn't homeless or something, but like I only went there like once a month or something,
Okay.
And I would shower at the gym. The gym was downstairs, so like I was on a and I did not want to live like this. I'm like, every day was like, man, I did an architecture master. I got into this mess. If there was downtime, I feel guilty for the downtime. Like I gotta put on an audiobook. I gotta listen to something. I gotta YouTube. I gotta listen to something with stock related, because if not, it's unjustified. Everything I'm doing is unjustified.
Got you.
So I had like this. I couldn't even sleep if I tried to sleep. I would like lay there until like physically exhausted, and maybe I'll doze off for like certain periods.
Yeah. So you were on a like absolute, I would say if we had to analyze what state you were in. You were in a fight or flight state, for sure. You were in a state where you narrowed your focus, You cut out the whole world and you just focus on one outcome, which was to understand what trading was about and to focus on that. So sometimes having that fight or flight is in life, that reptilian, just, it's, I don't have a reptilian brain. I don't have other choice. I just have to go for this. Sometimes it serves us. Sometimes it can be to our benefit. Of course, from a health perspective and from a long-term perspective, that's not sustainable. No ways, right? But sometimes when your back is to the wall, that's the animalistic side of you that comes in. That's not even allowing you to sleep, because you just have to. It's not safe to sleep. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There's no time to rest and digest right now. It's fight or flight, and I'm fighting for my life here. And I think again, we tend to say stress is bad. It is definitely, but in life, that's the survival. That's that part of us. That's what makes us survive. And you definitely capitalized on that. It brought you that sense of, I'm gonna get out of this. I can't do it now. Of course, if we analyze it and if you go, maybe I could have done things a little bit better, maybe I could have given myself a bit more
absolutely.
rest. Now that you're mature and maybe you're more wiser, you would go, well, maybe I would have slept better, because then I could have studied and got my information better, and I would have taken the information.
No,
you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Because that stress of flight, I'm not really and receiving a lot as well, because it's just that you think you are, but you're not really taking information, because you're you know what I mean. It's not.
I was by myself. I cut myself out. I was isolated.
Yeah,
too.
you were isolated. Yeah.
The only thing I had was the Tim Sykes chat room. That's all I had.
Yeah.
That's the only people there was days, I kid you not, there was days I would not have a single conversation. My mouth would not open, my vocal cords would not work.
Wow, a full day.
Full day passed by,
Wow.
and if I'm not, I just said no words came out of my mouth.
You should have started singing or something.
Maybe.
To yourself.
Yeah, maybe.
Imagine.
Well, I would talk to myself. Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm just
I would
checking.
talk to myself.
Yeah.
Or maybe excuse me on the road or something.
Yes.
But
No.
yeah.
But I just again I'm just sharing this because I think I like to highlight these parts, is and for listeners, the story. If you really put yourself in David's shoes, it's interesting, and to ask yourself this question, like, how would I deal with it? How would I deal with it if I had to go through these circumstances, and be honest with that answer. Be honest with yourself, and if that answer is not what the answer you'd like to hear, then let this be a reminder that it's possible that you can overcome anything. You can literally overcome anything in your life. And when you shared that story with me, and I've been getting pieces of the story as we get to spend, when we spend time with each other, we go a bit deeper. But ultimately, if we look at that journey from start to finish, and where you are today, the reputable, one of the best short sellers in the world, very much respected in the industry. We have people flying in from overseas to come and see you and me, and from across the US to our conference. You've built a name for yourself. All of that momentum, for me, when you look at the whole experience, that's what we call a hero's journey. That's what we call a hero's journey, man. Where you get to the space where you are today, and you are still in your power without the ego, but with the deep knowing that you can bet on yourself. And we had that conversation the other day, when you know you can bet on yourself, and I'm gonna let everyone hear what I'm about to say. When you know you can bet on yourself, you are unstoppable. You can achieve and create anything you want in your life, because again, I go back to that point. 99% of the time, what's in the way of whatever we want to create for ourselves in our life is ourselves. We are in the way. It's either our limiting beliefs, it's either our conditioning, it's either our self-worth, it's either we don't believe we're good enough, or we believe we can't, or we're the victim in our life. We're pointing fingers. The government did that to me, and I got a student loan, and I've got to blame them, and it's not my fault. It's them. They did that to me.
Yeah.
Right? That's where most people are at. They're finding reasons for why they are and what they are, and the reasons, and especially when they're in something that they're not discomfort, as opposed to going, how can I change it? What can I learn from this so it doesn't happen again? You know, the way you deal with life today, even that you are a millionaire and we go out and we do things, you're still not in that mindset of like, let me go splash money. No, everything is, I get what I need. I get the best of everything, but I get what I need. I get what's important to me. I get what's going to feed my mind, what's going to feed my body, and make me an even more powerful version of myself.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
You got me? That's what you're doing. That's who your embodiment is, and you know why you do that? It's because you're betting on yourself, because you believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And this is the message for all the listeners and the people watching. I want this story and this share of David today to be one of inspiration, but one of a reminder of how you are powerful, how you can also do this, how you can overcome anything, and just make that decision that you want something different in your life and not settle. And not settle. And the problem is a lot of people mix settling with being grateful, or you got to be grateful, you got to be grateful what you have. No one is saying not to take gratitude. Gratitude should always be on 24/7. Gratitude for being alive. That on its own is, you should be grateful every day just to have the ability to wake up and breathe some fresh air and be able to see, be able to walk, David. Remember when you didn't know how to walk? That was it's like, imagine. So understanding that fundamental gratitude, but gratitude has nothing to do with settling. Settling, it's not in our favor. In fact, you're doing yourself a disfavor, because you're basically telling yourself that you don't deserve the best by settling. When you settle and you're not happy, then you're just saying, well, that's what I deserve. But when you deserve something, you truly deserve something, and you know you're worthy of it, you got to believe you're worthy of it. That's another thing. Remember the work? You got to believe 100% you're worthy of whatever you want to create for yourself in your life, whatever it is, because that's where it fundamentally starts. Then the self-belief kicks in, then you can start betting on yourself, then you can start going even, it's like, there's no limit. There's literally no limit. And that's my message today. And I really want to say thank you, David. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being, thank you for being the example that you are, man. And like I said, I mean this, and I think you know when I say this, I mean it. The relationship that we have built and getting to know you on a deeper level has been one of an inspiration to me. And I always say this to my clients. I say, in life, it's super important to find someone that inspires you, someone that you can look up to, and someone that you want to continue. You have to inspire yourself, but you also have to seek others that inspire you, so you can move into spirit and you can believe in yourself, and you go, wow, man, that's possible. Let's go, let's keep moving, let's keep going, and that's important. And for me, I can confidently say this, that you are one of the people that are in my life. In fact, I have very few, but you are right up there that inspire me, and as a friend, as a business partner, and as a human being, man. You know what I'm trying to say? So thank you, David. I mean this. Thank you for sharing your story with everyone, and thank you for all the listeners out there at Rising Minds, and for the watchers. I think we're going to get this put it online. So I encourage you to go check out the podcast, and thanks again, Dave. I don't know if you want to have anything else to say from your side.
That was fun, man. I said a lot of stuff I don't think I've ever mentioned publicly before, like on podcasts. There's so many podcasts. I didn't touch like on the deep level. Yeah. So it's very nice to talk about it on Rising Minds.
Thank you very much, and thank you for sharing your story and for being open and open and comfortable. That's true confidence, by the way. I say this when I work with my clients in Dubai, the ones that come see me in person, especially the men. When they sit down, they go, look, man, I want to change this and I want to work on this. And I'm like, man, you know, that is confidence.
Yeah.
That for me is absolute confidence, you know. You just being here and being open and being willing to say, listen, I've got some blind spots, I got some things I need to work on, something here doesn't sit right. I mean, that is absolute being a man. In my model world, that's a man that is willing to face what doesn't serve him and just focus on what he wants. But again, thanks again, David, and
Awesome.
and for the listeners, thank you so much. If you've listened all the way till here, I honor you. I trust this has been an inspiring podcast, and this is only one of many that will have David on, because this is the conversations we have off camera.
Yeah, all the time.
All the time. So we're just happy to share with you guys. So thanks again. Much love and positive energy.